Today we're going to do some assisted stretching. So I'm starting with Stefan on his back. I'm going to stretch his left hamstring, grab the leg, and then hook my left foot over his shin just to keep that thing down. So you can lean into the left leg with your torso and try and anchor the knee straight. Here you can play around with bending the leg, straightening the leg, bending the foot, straightening the foot up towards the ceiling, or even internal and external rotation. We move across into an iliotibial band stretch, just anchoring down that left hip while pulling the ankle into like an inversion ankle sprain. So just twist the foot in a little bit and get that ITB on full stretch. And then a bit of inner thigh, taking the leg out to the side, making sure that the right hip stays on the mat. Once that inner thigh's had a good stretch, we're going to go across into a glute stretch, so the glute max, one of the largest muscles in the body. And we're going to twist the leg into external rotation. And here I like to play with the range. We go in, we go out, just to get all the fibers of that big bum muscle stretched out. From here into a lumbar rotation, so the left arm reaches up towards the ceiling and the left leg is pulled across at 90 degrees in the hip and the knee. And you want to anchor down the right knee and anchor down the left shoulder. You might feel the odd little click in the sacrum, and that's okay. From there, we're going into a nice deep inner thigh stretch. So I like to push the right shin away and pull the left leg down to the floor, stretching into the groin on both sides. And then a little traction just to pull that hip nicely into distraction. Then we do the right hamstring. Same thing applies. You anchor down the left shin and you push into the belly of the hammy, either dorsiflexing the foot or locking the knee nice and straight. Here you can bend the knee, straighten the knee, bend the foot, straighten the foot. Then we go across into the iliotibial band, keeping the right hip anchored on the floor and turning that foot in, twisting the foot to get a good stretch on the peroneals and into the glute and the ITB. A gentle inner thigh stretch, taking the right leg out to the side and making sure that the left femur bone and thigh bone are pressed into the floor. We twist the right knee into a hip external rotation, stretching the glutes on the right hand side, and we play from right to left to stretch that bottom. Then from that bum stretch, you're going to go into the lumbar rotation, anchoring the right knee onto the floor and the right shoulder onto the ground. And then that deep groin stretch, pulling the leg out to the side and onto the floor. Sometimes here I like to actually roll out the quads as well with like a rolling pin, and then some traction into the legs. Onto the tummy, the subject goes, so he rolls over. I'm going to do a thigh stretch, so quadricep stretch, pushing the heel to the bum. And here in Stefan, you can see he's actually managing to flex his knee quite nicely, but in a lot of clients, this is tough, and it's a big, tight stretch. So he's doing really well. We're moving into the hip flexors. See how I've grabbed his knee and I'm pulling it up towards the ceiling? You too can do that. In order to make sure that the low back remains safe, you want to tuck the tail or just feel with your own fingers to see that the low back is not hyperextending or arching. There should definitely be no discomfort. The right knee remains bent and the right elbow is bent up towards the ceiling, and the hand presses the torso over, stretching that left arm. You can see how I'm adjusting his arm position just to make sure we're getting more peak out of this. And as you rotate over, you should feel that that left shoulder and peak muscle on the front of the chest is getting a massive stretch. Make sure that no one is sore in this position other than in that muscle on the front of the chest. That's just a stretch for there. You don't want back pain. And then roll over back onto the tummy. The left knee bends and we do a thigh stretch for the left quad. From there we move to hip flexor stretch, anchoring down the sacrum. So that's the low back into the bum area. You pull the knee up with your hand and make sure the low back isn't arching. Here, your subject is not assisting you in any way. And then we move across into the chest stretch. And from this angle, you can see clearly that that left hand is helping push you over. Give it time to cook. Readjust the arm if needed, but please don't readjust while in the stretch. You come back, you move, and then you go back. There's a sneaky muscle in the low back that is really tight on a lot of people, and I find this such a useful exercise to do on your own. Here I'm just doing an assisted version, but you can replicate this stretch quite easily on your own. You can see that my foot is anchoring down Stefan's left thigh there, but you don't actually need that foot. It just makes it a massive stretch. You can do the exact same movement without the foot anchoring. You just need to be aware of that knee trying to creep up. This is called a quadratus lumborum stretch. The arm reaches up towards the ceiling and back, that way getting into the side of the body. The other hand that's on the knee is literally just your hook, your safety. You're just hanging on it. So it helps you to get a better angle. Such an underrated stretch if you've got low back discomfort, because these muscles are always trying their best to help you and they stiffen up and get really tight. So just a gentle stretch at first and only go deep if you know that you respond well. Then into a press stretch, bum back onto heels, arms out in front of you, taking beautiful deep breaths into the sides of your ribs. If someone's there to help you, you can put a bit of traction on either end. Here we're trying to get into hip flexor stretch. So a little bit of cueing issues here, trying to get my point across, but we're moving into a kneeling position like you're trying to propose, and then I'm lifting Stefan's left foot up towards his bottom. I recommend propping your left foot on a bed or on a ball or on a chair if you wanted to get a max stretch here. Otherwise, if it's big enough, leave the foot on the floor, no problem. Notice how we've lifted Stefan's left arm up towards the ceiling, and you're reaching across into the hip flexor oblique on that left side. Changing legs, left foot goes forward, right foot either stays on the ground, or if you have someone to help or a ball or a bed, you prop that right foot on the bed or ball, and then reach the right arm up towards the ceiling, stretching into the side of the body, hip flexor. Watch out for balance, so we're a bit wobbly on our feet here. Before we lift the hind leg, you want to make sure that you're stable. And if you need a wall or some surface to hang on to, by all means, make your way to that sturdy surface. And then lying down on the back, just a little finish with some traction and some nice feedback into the shoulders just to stretch those out. So we're pulling on the neck a little bit, make him feel taller and longer. Pick minus stretch. Pick minus stretch. Deep breath in through the nose and sigh it out.